Hello, my name is Rachel and you're listening to the second audio installment of Jobs for Grad podcast. So right now we're on the busy street of Orchard, ready to find someone talk to us. Hello, what's your name?
My name is June.
Joan. Okay, currently how old are you?
I'm 37 now.
You're 37, so currently you're working.
Yes.
So what's your highest education level?
I'm in the diploma now.
In a diploma, what diploma do you take?
Sales and marketing.
Sales and marketing. In which polytechnic?
I'm doing it at PSB Academy.
Oh, I see. So we were actually wondering, there's an issue in Singapore, right? The employment rate in Singapore for fresh graduates is very, very low currently. And do you agree with that?
Yes.
What do you think is happening right now? What do you think is going on that fresh graduates can't get any jobs?
Okay. Firstly, I realized that all these graduates, when after they find new job, right, they have a very high expectation. A lot of time they wanted to find a job that high pay, easy job, less working hour, and they have a lot of high expectation that where they can get the easy. They thought that after degree, right, they know a lot of stuff already, they can expect more. So eventually they are not humble enough to start from basics.
Right. So you think that fresh graduates think that as long as they have a high degree or high diploma or the highest level of education level they can get, they think it's easy for them to get a job. But in reality, they don't have much of the experience for them to actually qualify for them to get the job.
Sure, yes, this is the things that I realized. They're supposed to be willing to learn. In fact, when you go to any industry, it's not just the education, it's more on the kind of attitude. When you work, right, you really need to come into a very positive mindset. And of course, it's everyone have given an opportunity to have a stable, a good job that way you like it.
Yes, of course. So you do agree that as long as you have the experience, as much experience as you can get in that kind of job, it's good for you and it's easier for you to climb up the ladder to get the job that you want when you graduate, right?
Yes.
So that's one of the solutions. So in your case, do you actually have any difficulty finding jobs when you actually graduate from school?
No problem.
Oh, really?
Yes. I always a person that willing to learn. I'm very positive. You have to start for basic. No matter how, you know that work is not just one day. You need to gain experience.
So as long as they have the right mindset and the experience in it, they will be able to get the job they want.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Ellen.
So how old are you?
I'm 23 this year.
So currently, are you still studying or working?
I'm currently going to complete my degree in about 3 months.
Degree? What degree?
Communication and Media Studies.
Oh, so it's like journalism, that kind.
Something like that, but including there's a bit of a PR and marketing aspect into it. So it's like basically we learn about online media, how to communicate with people on online media, how do people investigate or rather research on different media platforms on which are the users, and then help companies target these audiences.
Oh, I see. So let me backtrack. You actually said that you were going to graduate in 3 months,
Yeah,
right?
3 months.
So is there any expectation of what kind of job you're going to get after you graduate?
Actually, right, when I took this degree, I was thinking like I would probably go to a PR company, if not go to a media networking company, like people who do media advertising. But I think for a person like me who does degree in communication and media studies, I guess it's a very broad degree. It's more of like a safe zone because actually I wanted to do film studies, but I felt that it wasn't a good avenue in Singapore, so I had to get something as a safe zone. If I'm unable to do film, I actually got something to back me up in terms of job. Yeah.
Okay, but actually, right, because in this kind of media industry, it's actually quite difficult to get a job.
Yeah.
You can say that, right?
Yes.
Because in this kind of industry, it's kind of hard because the industry is very small. But do you find it difficult? Like, do you believe that you need to have the right experience or the connection to get a job?
Yes.
Especially in the media industry.
Yeah, especially in the media industry, it's more of experiences and connections, to be honest, and very little on paper. Because whatever you learn in the media industry, right, in paper form, it's more of like a theory based. So you learn a lot about theory, a lot of research, which is sort of unapplicable in real life situations. So when it comes to media industry, I don't say that it's very biased, but you do need to be able to have connections in order to get a job, because it's quite a high competitive area, and the government don't focus a lot on our media industry. So very little money goes in it. So that basically you have a lot of people who want to do this kind of jobs but don't have the resources to hire that much people. So they have to pick and choose. And then when picking and choosing comes, then you need to have connections in order to land a job in a certain...
Get the spot lah, basically.
That's what,
Okay, which is very true, especially in the media and like the film or music industry, basically right now in Singapore. But have you actually worked or interned at any of this kind of job before?
I have never interned at a production company before, but I have friends who do. And they say that it is mostly commercial focus instead of creative focus. So basically a lot of these production companies, they do commercials, they do TV ads, they do corporate training videos for companies, which I have to say it's a lot of money, but there are very few companies who actually focus on the creative aspect like MM2, J-Team. These are the very few. And to be honest, it's quite sad that, you know, when I apply for a job in a production house, I prefer to do something more of the creativity rather than standard commercial ads, because in commercial you have like step 1, step 2, step 3, and then you just follow the formula and then everybody is happy.
Of course.
Yeah, and you don't get to express your own personality, explore your creativity, and also you don't get to make your mark in a sense as an artist. Because when you do media, you are an artist essentially. You want to create something that is not common, or rather you want to have your own flavor in your own art. So yeah, which is why I say it's very commercial focused right now.
So let's not just talk about the media or entertainment industry in this sense, but any sort of industry, be it the PR, marketing, business industry. Do you think it's difficult for fresh graduates nowadays to find a job or to get the job?
Okay, because all these kind of jobs, right? First thing, when an employer looks at your resume, they take a look at your education. Where does your degree or your diploma comes from? Whether is it a recognized school? Is it from a unknown school? And then they make their judgment based on that. Secondly, they look at your result. I went to a tuition center before after I graduated from my diploma to get a full-time job there, and they take a look at my diploma papers. I didn't fare very well in school, so my grades are like CD. So they take a look at it and they immediately ask me, "Oh, your grades quite bad." Then I realized that, besides getting the paper, your grades have to reflect, a nice number, so that people will be able to have a good impression. And then after that, right, they also look at your work experience. So basically, you need to have good school, you need to have good grades, you need to have good work experience in order to land a job. And these three is very, very hard to come all at once. Like, you need to take time to go and find a good school, but in order to find a good school, you need first the money, and then secondly, you need to be very smart, and not everybody is very smart. Recently there's the PSLE, the P6 guy, and then he just jumped down, even though it's not even his PSLE result, it's just his midterm exams. He just killed himself because
that's how stressful nowadays Singapore is.
Yeah, so the government tries to make right now on the news, the government tries to make it not try not to focus a lot on results lah. So in the sense that people, but still in the industry you have a lot of old people, and these old people they look at results. So it kind of puts a lot of pressure on people who cannot study well. But it doesn't mean that if you can't study well, doesn't mean that you're not good at something else. Like for example, Steve Jobs, he dropped out of school. He's very good at creating technology, and he does. He gives up on studying to pursue what he likes to do, and in the end he makes a lot of money out of it. And to be honest, I guess Singapore needs to be more aware that you should not have a population that strives for academic results, but also other forms of talents in terms of singing, acting, or arts in that sense, because not everyone can 死背. I mean, just regurgitate out whatever they memorize. Not everyone can do that. And I guess in that sense, right, the reason why it is quite difficult for fresh grads to take a job, because we spend a lot of money in degree, we spend a lot of money, and then when we go into a job, we expect a certain amount of pay, because sometimes we need to pay off loans, sometimes it's relative to the amount of money we spend on studying. So for example, right, I would expect my basic pay to be 3,000. I would expect for a degree holder, but as a diploma holder, I would expect that my basic pay to be 1,800 at least. I would expect. But in that sense, nobody is willing to pay so much, because I don't know how to put it lah. The companies, maybe they want to cut costs, but it's, I mean, I'm not a boss myself, so I can't really explain why, but it's also because of these kind of factors that when we look at a job like, I'm a degree holder and you are offering me 1,500, I'm not going to take it. I spend so much money studying, spend so much time studying. You give me 1,500, I'm not going to take it. And then that's where it becomes difficult for fresh grads to find a job, because the pay that they're offering is not substantial enough to survive in that sense and to match our education standard. Yeah, so I guess there's a few factors.
Because, as you said, you guys will have, everyone will have some sort of expectation of be it the pay or the working environment there, right? There will be some sort of expectation, but do you agree that certain people or certain fresh graduates actually have too high of an expectation that results them in not getting the job at all, be it whether they have that working experience or they have the greatest results that they can get?
Okay, in that sense, right, to that question, right, I feel that maybe because, for example, if I'm someone who graduate with honors, first class honors, I would expect my pay to be 4K. I'm first class honors. That means I'm the top 1% of the entire university in that course particular.
Yeah.
So I would expect my pay to be higher than people who just graduate, like just pass. I would expect, because I put in a lot of effort to get that first class honors.
Yeah.
So if sometimes people have reasons to ask for a higher pay, but sometimes people they just pass, or rather they go into NUS and then they just pass with a normal degree and then they expect 4K. Then these kind of people are people who are just selfish and inconsiderate, because they don't think of they only care about themselves. That's why they think that I go to NUS, I go to a very good course. I didn't get very well, I didn't get first class honors, but because I go to NUS, I should get this amount of money.
Just by the brand of the school.
Yeah, and it is, this kind of people I feel is very inconsiderate, because you need to know where you stand. To be honest, you need to know where you stand. Like, if you have zero experience, even though if you first class honors, you graduate from NUS, NTU, whatever school, even Harvard maybe, but if you have zero experience, you can never work before, you should know that you probably get a lesser pay than someone who is in the industry for like 5 years already. You probably get a lesser pay. Like, even though you might get a more basic starting pay if it's one of your peers, but you cannot expect that your pay would jump so high that people with experience wouldn't get higher than you. Yeah, ultimately experience still wins paper. Paper is just a stepping stone. It's for you to cut queue a bit, but not so much in that sense. Yeah.
Of course, but so you do agree that working experience is quite important?
Yeah, I agree that working experience is actually very important.
So do you have any useful tips for fresh graduates that's just about to graduate or have already graduated but are having difficulties finding job?
You need to know your priorities. Be it experience, money, or environment. You need to pick one. There's no all three. If you all three, then all three cannot be damn good if you want to be all three. But if you pick work experience, then you have to accept that maybe the industry, the place that you go to, the environment might not be that friendly, the pay might not be that high. But you go there is for experience to put up in your CV. But if you want pay, then you have to accept the fact that you're not going to get a very good environment and you won't get something that you like to do. So you have to give and take. So you basically have to give and take. You have to look at your priorities first.
I see. So that's the only one that you have.
Yeah, because all other things it applies to everything. Like, example, if you want to work in a creative writing industry, maybe you want to be a writer. You need to understand is that something that you like to do. The starting pay might not be very good. The work environment might be very stressful. But you want that. You want that job. You like that job. Yes, of course. Yeah. So there's the 3 circles. Yeah, the cost, time, and quality. You cannot have all 3. You only can have 2, and then you have to sacrifice one other. Yeah. So basically, you need to know where your priorities lie.
Okay, I see. Thank you so much. This is the end of our second audio podcast. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for our next episode.
Bye.